How's it going, guys? And welcome to your Smackdown review. So, this was a show that actually started off really good, and then it just got bad. Talk about it like a drop off. Didn't we have like a show like that not too long ago where it just completely dropped off? Uh, so we start off. Brock Lesnar comes out to the ring. It was great to hear him on the mic here. I said this for so long, so many wasted years of having that human cartoon character, Paul Heyman, cut the promos for Brock Lesnar. And now, finally, with Heyman out of the picture, we've got Brock on the mic all the time. And I couldn't be happier that that's a thing. Never put him with Heyman again. I don't know why they why they feel that Brock needed a manager. Why they thought for so many years, for 9 years straight, that he needed Paul Heyman still. When he proved that he didn't need Heyman. He left WWE without Heyman in this corner. All of a sudden, when he came back, they had to have this nostalgic thing. Why be back to square one? Brock would always talk for himself. He'd always do his own thing in UFC, flipping off the crowd. He was his own man. He was his own personality. He did not need Paul Heyman. I said this for years. You go back and you watch, me talking about, realizing that, after Brock beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30, I said it was the same promo over and over and over, and we were getting this non-stop. And you think 6-7 years from that point, it took for them to get sick of the same my client Brock Lesnar. I'm the advocate. Paul Heyman announcing his name 1,000 times. Thank God we're past that. And so Sami Zayn comes out. Sami Zayn reminds Brock that, he is getting a title shot against Reigns, that he won the Battle Royal. And this was just a lot of fun. For some reason, these guys had chemistry. And I love, what they were doing here, where Sami Zayn was nervous. He was talking fast. He was trying to be buddy-buddy with Brock. And Brock really wasn't having it, but he was kind of luring Sami Zayn into challenging Roman Reigns for the belt so he could get him out of the way for the pay-per-view. What about this pay-per-view name, Day One? I can't say I'm too crazy about this. It's the most basic name. I'm sorry, when I think of pay-per-view names, I think of No Mercy, Armageddon, Judgment Day, all these really hard-hitting names that really inspired fear. And now, and it just sounded cool and awesome, and they sounded ominous. And now what do we get? We get Day One. Okay, I don't know about this type of name. I mean, where do we go from New Year's Revolution? Why didn't we bring that one back? No, instead it's Day One. There's nothing cool or wrestling sounding about that. It just sounds like a bland, boring name that was, talked about for a single minute during a meeting, and they were like, yeah, good enough. That's good enough for the pay-per-view. And I don't know why we need an extra pay-per-view, because they're skipping December. There's not going to be a pay-per-view this month, and thank God for that. We don't need another pay-per-view just to have one, and it also saves me a review. I don't have to review it here, and we're just getting this random pay-per-view right before Royal Rumble. So it doesn't make sense. So they're going to skip December, and then they're just going to sandwich 2 shows into 1 month? What? Why are they doing that? That doesn't make a lick of sense to me. So, we're going to have some breathing room from Survivor Series, and we're going to skip a month. I'm okay, this is good. We're not having TLC. We're skipping it this year. And, you watch my Ruthless Aggression review. I believe it was of episode 2, Innovations. I recommend that everybody go and watch those 5 episodes. Watch that entire series on Peacock, and then go watch my analysis of those. I think I did a pretty good job of breaking those down. But I said, like, we don't need to have pay-per-views like Hell in the Cell and TLC telling us, oh, well, you know what, this month we're going to have this pay-per-view. I've always hated that. I've hated it ever since they institutionalized that. But it's just one pay-per-view. They're probably going to be back to doing this like at Elimination Chamber. We all know that it's too good to be true. But at least we get a break from TLC. We don't have to see another mindless TLC pay-per-view with, oh, we got to have a TLC match for the women as well as the guys. Like, just, yeah, better off they don't do it. But yeah, this was a lot of fun here in the beginning. And I really like what, Sami Zayn has done over the past year or two. I've said this, I like his conspiracy theory gimmick. It's like on again, off again. Like last week, he mentioned briefly about his documentary, being like held up in red tape. And now, and then now they're like off of it again. Now they're just kind of having neurotic Sami Zayn. I'm fine with neurotic Sami Zayn. There's not as much depth to this character, but I'm liking what Zayn's doing compared to where this guy was when he first came onto the main roster and what he was doing in NXT. When people were going gaga over him and Nakamurphy and people disliking my video, when I said that was like an okay match and people were like, oh my god, it was the best match all year, it was the best match in 20 years. And still, I always like think back to that video, and that's kind of like when I realized, I think that was like the real eye-opener for me. That's when I stopped watching NXT. If anybody like notices, like I stopped watching the pay-per-views. That was the last NXT pay-per-view that I watched, and it was because of that. I had it with the fans. I had it with the just aura surrounding NXT and the whole like indie stupidity around it. So, Sami Zayn came in and was feuding with Kevin Owens nonstop, and he did end up going back to Kevin Owens, I know, at WrestleMania, but thank God we have an actual character. They took an indie guy that was just about being a great wrestler. The guy was out of shape, did not look pleasing to the eye. Probably the least aesthetic appealing wrestler, since maybe Barry Horowitz or something like that. I don't know, but, this guy turned it all around and he's become like one of the best personalities on the current roster to date. But very entertaining segment. We go backstage and there's a follow-up. We've got Sami Zayn trying to get out of this with Sonya Deville, but Brock Lesnar's right behind him. And he kind of, convinces him once again to not go back on his word. And I like this follow-up, but I would have liked to see Sami Zayn trying to formulate, different ideas throughout the show. Like, keep this going. Because as far as I'm concerned, all this other shit sucked. It was, I mean, seriously. I'm just going to be blunt here. You might as well, this is what like every single good show back in the day, and some goofball's going to come, stop living in the past. I'm sorry, because once in a while they do it. Like, this is a good start. This was entertaining in the beginning. We got a story going. Brock had a plan. He bullied Sami Zayn. He used his character to influence Sami Zayn's character, and that connection was good. The two played off of one another, and we had a good segment, and plus it was funny. Zayn was being funny, Brock was being funny, but not in a goofballish sort of way. Now, not pies in the face. No, we'll be getting to pies in the face later on. Not golden eggs. Just good, solid, just entertainment. And they had this going on all cylinders. I would have liked to see it go a little bit further, but instead, no, we have to wait all the way to the last 10 minutes of the show to get more of the Brock and Zayn and Roman story. Roman obviously is a part of this, but it's mostly tonight about Brock and Zayn convincing him to face Roman. We all know pretty much what the result will be. Anyway, we get our first match, and man, how do you go from this great entertainment, two guys, acting well and doing what I expect out of a WWE show to entertain me. Instead, I'm getting Sasha Banks defeating Shayna Baszler in a match that's to me, this is a joke. I'm sorry. Shayna Baszler is the MMA girl. I don't know what happened. They came in full force with Shayna Baszler back in 2020. I talk about it continuously, but it bears repeating when I watch a match like this. She came in, defeated 5 opponents, defeated every single girl inside the Elimination Chamber. Boom, 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 boom. Beat all the top girls in one match. Okay, it was the Riot Squad, so not all of them were top girls, I get it, but, I think the other 2 were. So she beat, and Asuka was in there, right? And one other girl, don't remember, but whatever. They had her annihilate pretty much half of the women's division. So that pretty much cemented Shayna Baszler in a spot that I would have actually expected someone like Nia Jax to achieve. Or Ronda Rousey. That spot should have went to them. Just, she had the Goldberg spot from SummerSlam 2003, just plowing through people, looking super powerful. But unlike the match with Goldberg, she actually won it, and that was good. I said okay, I'm not really fully behind this Shayna Baszler. I've never really been too crazy about her look, but okay, she's a legit athlete, so let's get her in there. Let's get the most out of her. And it seemed like they were going to do that, but then, they decided, okay, well, we're not going to have her win at WrestleMania against Cringy Lynch. Something about McMahon pulling out of it. Well, after seeing the stupid biting segment that they had, that's no surprise, but whatever. Let's not get too off track. That's a story for a different day. They ruined Shayna Baszler. But the point remains, seeing her struggle with Sasha Banks in this match. And Sasha's escaping her hold, easily rolling out of it. Getting her in her own. And it looked like Shayna was, tapping at one point. Didn't it? But it was oh, no, it wasn't a tap. Then we get a hurricane, a roll-up. Also, I'm looking at Sasha Banks here, and she did 2 springboard arm drags. I'm Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero's my hero. Well, okay, stop doing that bad arm drag. That she did it twice. She went for it 2 times, and it's she almost slipped off the ropes both times. And the second one looked even more horrible. At least the first one was countered into the whatever, the Barracuda clutch, as she's going fishing. No, you know what I'm saying. So it was harder to see that it was botched, but the second one was whoa! It was definitely botched, without a doubt. So stop doing those moves. They don't look good. I've never seen what is it? Is she a draw? I don't see her being a draw, but they're insistent on making sure she's the top star. This girl wanted to quit a year ago, right? She even talked about that recently, and they're gonna still put this much stock into her. Always. I don't. It's true. They don't give her the title for that long. They always take it off of her. I think that was something that Bianca Belair said to her in a promo. I don't even care who the champion is now. I'm just so sick and tired of all of these women's matches. There's some of these women are talented. I like Charlotte, Naomi and everything. They're talented. Some of them I enjoy, but everything that they do is so poorly put together. The matches are never entertaining. The guy stuff is always 10 times better. This is an example right here. You know, and this is just like a match thrown out here. There's like nothing behind it. There's like no history behind anything that went on here in this match. I think, like, didn't they tag together, like, you know, against each other in a match? Didn't Sasha team with Naomi last week or something? That was what it was all about. So here she gets a nice clean win over Shayna Baszler. We go backstage, and Sonya Deville is talking to Adam Pearce on FaceTime. I still see him in the little, you know, on the phone with his mouth open. Oh, still with a goofy face on. He's trying to get out of being there tonight. He says, "Oh, you got things, you know, well in order. I don't need to be on the show." Drew McIntyre shows up, and, you know, he says, you know, "We're going to be looking for Adam Pearce." And he shows the sword again. Like he's going to kill Adam Pearce with the sword. He's going to chop him in half. What is the deal with this? Like, I'm sorry, the thing with the sword, like, you might say it's cool and everything. It's a cool looking sword, but, like, he's fucking, like, almost cutting people in half in the Battle Royal. Like, there's a point where certain weapons should not be used in wrestling. Like, there's a reason why they never did a gun again, you know, with the Austin and Brian Pillman. I mean, that was different. That was at the house. You know, they couldn't really follow through with that storyline, but it was exciting. You know, Brian Pillman, like, pulled off a shot, but, you know, everyone was expecting, like, next week Austin the comeback shot. But you know what I mean? Like, there's certain things that they don't do. There's, like, certain barriers where, like, okay, we're not going to show this. Well, a sword's one of them. You know, you can't, because, like, what? Like, he's just going to keep on missing people? What happens when someone ducks too late? You know, it's going to be lights out for that person. And, you know, I don't want to be around to see that when it happens. You know, I really don't. So yeah, I mean, so I guess he's threatening Adam Pearce's life, I suppose. Okay, and then we got Happy Talk. It's Corbin and Madcap Moss, and, like, yeah, Corbin comes out in, like, a ridiculous outfit with a matching shirt with shorts, and, like, okay. You know, also, like, Pat McAfee on fire once again tonight. Like, we've got some horribleness that we're still gonna get to, and he just makes every moment of this show just, like, 10 times better, like 11 times better, because he's just so on the ball. He is funny, he is energetic, he's losing his mind, he's cracking jokes, he's having a ton of fun out there, and I'm sort of having fun too. I just wish he was commentating over a mildly better show, at least mildly better. So they're making fun of Jeff Hardy and Drew McIntyre, who come out, you know, to get their revenge, and they beat up on both of them. I don't know what it is. I kind of do like this dynamic of, you know, of Drew McIntyre and Jeff Hardy. I don't know what it is. I guess because I both like these guys. They put on their hats, and Jeff starts doing a little dance there, and I thought that was pretty funny. But, like, okay, this is kind of seems like it's a running gag, like, you know. And the other thing, like, about, like, them getting beat up all the time, like, oh, they say something, they make a mean joke, and then the guys that they're talking about run out and they start beating up on Corbin and Moss. But McAfee is, like, saying, like, I don't know how the show hasn't been canceled by now. And, you know, you could say, like, okay, well, you could equate that to them being heels and him being a babyface announcer, but he sort of sometimes does side with some of the heels at times. But it's like everyone knows this show's pretty bad. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say they enjoy Happy Talk. Like, I'm a Corbin fan. And I remember saying a while back, I think that, you know, Moss had a great physique and a great look. This is not really how I envision things for them. But yeah, I mean, this is always, like, a bad segment. I mean, it's just stupid. And it doesn't make any sense why you had... I really don't know what I prefer. I think King Corbin was less annoying than Happy Corbin. Because that just does absolutely nothing. It just makes them both look like idiots. They're just laughing it up constantly over stupid jokes, and like, you know, there's a way to do that fake laugh and it be effective. Rollins does it. I've said it. I've given him the credit for that. But, you know, sometimes you see it like with them and like, well, no one does it worse than Sasha Banks, but like everyone's just laughing it up supposedly. It's just a big joke on here, I guess. We've got Xyla Lee coming, and you know, this was a nicely animated you know, little vignette that they've been doing. I said it was almost like Aleister Black. It looks like it's the same animator, and these are great, but like, you know, we keep getting these vignettes for people, and they never stick around. But, you know, whatever. It's going to be interesting, I guess, when she shows up. But, you know, don't they have enough women that they don't know what to do with? So, here comes another one. And we've got Los Lotharios defeating the Viking Raiders in probably the most confusing fashion. Boogs and Nakamurphy like come out of the crowd. Boog starts playing, and you just kind of naturally assume that, you know, the Lotharios are going to get distracted. But no, the Viking Raiders get distracted, and they get rolled up. And then they get mad at Boogs, as they should, for playing the guitar during their match and costing them it. And then he starts playing their theme, and all is forgiven. As McAfee says, like, you know, it heals all wounds, and he's just jamming over there. So it's like, so he kind of put a bit of a Band-Aid, you know, on what was a pretty stupid match, and also was really awkward. Did you guys notice, like, the camera at one point where you had Angel Garza locking in his submission move, and then Humberto Carrillo, like, comes into the ring, and the referee's not even trying to get him out of the ring. And it's like this weird shot. It like zooms in on him, like, or like a long shot. And I'm like what's going on here? Like, it looks like something's supposed to happen here, but it's not happening. Like, Boogs and Nakamurphy came out like a few seconds too late, but it was like some really awkward seconds there. Because, like, isn't that move supposed to be, like, followed up with a drop kick? Isn't that their finisher? But for some reason, it wasn't coming, and Humberto's, like, staring at him. Like, just looking at him like, okay, are you going to hit the drop kick? And, like, then what was supposed to happen eventually happens. And it couldn't have happened any more awkward than it turned out. But, you know, so goes the rest of the night. And here we go with the Toni Storm promo. Toni Storm is talking about the pies. You know, getting pied last week. She, you know, says people are calling her two-pied Toni. I don't know who's calling her this. She doesn't really have a good excuse for standing around like a moron while pie was dripping off her face twice, mind you. Get ready, because I'm going to be talking about this again real soon. She also says, well, pretty soon I'm going to have a different nickname. I'm going to be known as SmackDown Women's Champion. And, like, McAfee says, that's not a nickname, that's a title. I'm like, oh my God. McAfee is kind of like sitting back and like burying this show like on a really low level. Like, as far as I'm concerned, like a very high level. I'm not sure if this is like a good thing for them, but like it's funny, it's entertaining. And like, yeah, like this promo sounded so bad. Like, you know, Toni Storm, like, I can't even be sympathetic for her being hit in the face with a pie. Because she's standing there sounding like an absolute moron. Like, just, you know, it kind of reminds me of the reality show with, like, you know, with Jessica Simpson, just kind of standing around like you have like a really like hot girl, and she just sounds like a total idiot. And this is kind of like what we got here. And, you know, the really super blonde hair doesn't help matters either that she's dyed it. And like, I'm like, okay, so she's the new Jessica Simpson of the WWE, I guess. Like, this promo right here, I mean, this was pretty bad. I mean, did anyone really enjoy this? I know there's a lot of people that are like attracted to Tony Storm, all on the Facebook pages that we talk in, me and my subscribers, but like, we gotta admit, like, the promos are not really good. I mean, she seems like she's an alright wrestler, but man, they're giving her a lot of mic time for someone who really can't talk that well. But then again, like, this is the same thing with Bayley. Oh, no, she's over. Give her the mic. And like, it's just like, holy cow. Like, and the promos are like lasting a while. And this stuff about the pies, it's like, it's stupid. You stood there like a moron and got hit in the face with 2 pies. End of story. There's no way out of it. There's no good excuse. They should have wrote the segment better. That's what the real story is. We've got the Usos cutting a promo, and this is like, you want to talk about night and day. This was like from the first segment and the first match, like night and day, like really good and like then like really bad, or like, not like really bad, but like pretty bad. This promo, like, this just showed that the Usos, like, how far they've come since just, mindlessly yelping, Samoan style during their entrances, to becoming like these great, like, likable characters here. Like, they're heels, but man, like, they're so much fun on the mic, like making fun of Sami Zayn, saying, who's he think he is, challenging Roman Reigns tonight, and like, they've just got style, and they really know how to like just make things fun on the mic. And then comes out Xavier Woods. But anyway, what I want to just compare there is Tony Storm and the Usos. Like, man, is Tony Storm like watching that? Like, after she's done with her segment, is she watching the Usos? Is she like watching like what it is to like have a character and actually sound cool, like make people want to listen to you? Because you have people who want to look at you, but they don't want to listen to you. See, that's the problem. Anyway, we got Xavier Woods, and he reintroduces Kofi Kingston, who I didn't even realize was gone in the first place. Bad sign there, but man, like, coming out in this just goofy-ass outfit that he's been wearing for weeks, even without the crown, still wearing this stupid, retarded getup. We get a little quick match here, which, was okay. It ends in a disqualification when Jimmy Uso interferes. And then they beat on the Usos until they run away. So, okay, there's no heel heat or anything like that. It's just the baby faces, looking strong for no apparent reason other than it's Kofi's return. And, like, this New Day stuff just won't end, will it? It's like just gonna go on and on forever. Anyway, we've got Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman backstage, and he's asking, did Heyman know anything about this Brock Lesnar thing? Like, this is like happening a little bit later on. Like, shouldn't Reigns be reacting to this like right after we see the Sami Zayn Brock Lesnar stuff? Like, you telling me he's like waiting like almost like an hour, 45 minutes, whatever it was into the show to comment on this to Paul Heyman? But he says it doesn't matter. He'll end up, smashing both of them. And then we get Charlotte coming out to the ring. But of course, it can't be that simple, because we have to have the New Day and Aaliyah do a little segment backstage. It wasn't as bad as last week, but we'll be getting to like weird commercial breaks and like weird, in between segments. But yeah, Charlotte's out. She's made her entrance. She's already in the ring, and we got to come into the back and get a Kofi Kingston interview, which is like the same old song and dance. We're going for the tag titles again, guys. Woo. again with the tag titles so they could go and win their 27th tag title in the span of 5 years. Like, does anyone just realize like how ridiculous this is, like piling up title win after title win in such a short amount of time? Aaliyah's backstage, and she's partying it up with the New Day, and like, what's the deal with Aaliyah? Like they give her this big win. We think she's gonna be in the Survivor Series match. They take her out, and now she's back to just being backstage again. Like what are they doing with her? Like, this isn't bougie, is it? Like, remember that's what she said the first night on SmackDown. I'm gonna make SmackDown more bougie. Does it look like SmackDown's more bougie? I don't think it is. But like, I don't get it. Like, to stop again, start again with all these different talents. Like, you're on the show, you're off the show, you're on the show, you're off the show. Here's a vignette. Like first of all, who even cares? Is there any Aaliyah fans out there? Is there anyone that wanted her brought up to the main roster in the first place? Like, why was she brought up to the main roster if they didn't have any plans for her? Like, it's just a waste of time. Like I said, and I don't see anything. Like, what's her character? It looked like she was going to be like a makeup artist or something like that. Like, her gimmick is something that like one of the stagehands do backstage. Okay, like not much of a gimmick, but whatever. So okay, we end that, and I think there was like a commercial or something, and then Charlotte's in the ring. And like, okay, again, like interrupting Charlotte, she has to wait in the ring looking like a total goofball, waiting for all this nonsense to end. It finally all ends, and here we go with Charlotte. And, Charlotte looked really good. I really like, when she wears these bodysuits. It's like, it's a really good look for her. But this promo right here, once again, talking about the same thing that we talked about a few weeks ago, about Toni Storm challenging Charlotte. And, she doesn't think that Toni Storm deserves it. She ends up saying no. She walks up the entrance ramp. Who should be there but Toni Storm? And what's that? She's got in her hand. Oh my God. It's a pie. Oh! She hits her with a pie to the face, and she starts laughing maniacally. Another person laughing it up on this show. Hee hee, ha ha, hoo hoo, hey hey. Like, and what do you think Charlotte does? She stands there and says, "Can someone get me a tissue?" Okay, she's the heel. She's the one who gets hit by the pie, and she hands it at her sides, just momentarily wiping the pie from her face. She just hit you in the face with a pie, made you look like an idiot, and you're the dominating female in the show. You're the champion. Are you gonna go? Are you gonna get some heel heat on her? Are you gonna attack her? No, you're just gonna stand there looking like a goof. Here we go again with the Barnum and Bailey looking like a clown. Shit, like, oh my God, what is the deal with this now? Getting hit with pies? Seriously, it's like the Doink the Clown thing. Well, they used to do the same thing, getting hit with the pie, and then the guy is like selling the pie. And like, I think the people who took the pies from Doink at least sold it better. Here they're just kind of standing there like, oh, like, I don't know how to react. There's a pie in my face. Like, this just is like, it's 2021 and people are still getting hit in the face with pies. We're still doing this crap? Like, okay. We've got, Ricochet gets a vignette. He's not on the show, but here's a vignette of him hitting some high spots. Okay, great. Like, what is he, a new wrestler that he's getting a vignette? Sheamus defeated Cesaro in a pretty decent match. I don't know, like, what the point of this was. Like, all these weeks, like, this would have made sense to have this match 2 years ago, but like now we're having it like 2 years later, and having Cesaro yell at them, "You were like a brother to me." It just kind of made me laugh because I'm like, okay, I'm not really feeling the drama to this match. Points for trying, but like, you haven't like had any interaction with Sheamus in years. And here we are, like, playing off of the bar versus the bar. Like, yeah, you're supposed to have the blow-off tag match between the two partners when they first break up the team. Now, I understand, like, Sheamus was injured and everything, but, like, it would have made sense for him to come back on the same show as Cesaro. And I think they were always on SmackDown. They kept them separated, but for some reason they just decided to not have them team together, which was probably a good idea because they'd been together for like forever, and we didn't want to have like a New Day situation on our hands with like a tag team that just stays around forever. You know, like they were an okay team, but like, you know, it's Sheamus. Like, to me, this guy's like a main eventer. That's my opinion, at least, on it. And, you know, we've got Michael Cole talking about him being the world champion so many times and how he's so underrated. Like, this is almost like what JR used to say about D'Lo Brown all the time. You know, D'Lo Brown was great, but we kind of knew he wasn't like the world champion material kind of guy. But he was a great, like, intercontinental, like, upper mid-card guy. You know, but yeah, like in my opinion, yeah, Sheamus is like a world champion level guy. I was perfectly fine with him being at that level. I don't think they always booked the guy so great. But hey, you know, I mean, we're talking out here. McMahon is obviously feeding Michael Cole those lines. Like, okay, you know, it's not like we have such great competition. Like, who was in your world title match just a few months ago? Cesaro. So, you know, whatever. Sheamus hits the bro kick, and that's the end of the match. You know, pretty good, but like, okay. I don't really know like why we're having this now. Then we get one of our, well, at least one of my oh so favorite things that I love to talk about in here: the bad formatting. And you thought that Charlotte last week was bad? Did you think that was bad? Did you think what we just talked about was bad with Charlotte coming out and a little New Day, Aaliyah segment in the back? You thought that was bad? You ain't seen nothing yet. So Sami Zayn comes out to the ring. Comes out. We get a commercial break. Then we come back. And then we're talking about a CSC belt. You know, we're talking about a fucking college football commemorative belt that you could buy. Like, I don't know who in their right mind, like, why would you choose that belt over, like, just a regular, like, WWE, like, belt? Like, why would you want the CEC belt? Like, why would anyone want that? I don't know. Just doesn't appeal to me or anyone else for that matter. Then we get a Sonya Deville and Sonya Deville and Naomi. And we're going to get the match next week, apparently. You know, Sonya slaps Naomi in the face. They could have done this, like, authority figure versus, you know, the wrestler, like, thing. You know, it's like, here's, like, Austin versus McMahon, like, all the way up here to, like, the ceiling. And then here's, like, Naomi and Sonya Deville, like, all the way down to the floor, which is, like, totally off camera. It's subterranean, basically. And then we go to commercial. They come back and, you know, we get confirmation the match is going to happen. And then we finally get to lay eyes on Sami Zayn again, who's ready to cut a promo in the ring. Holy shit. He was waiting that long to cut a promo. Like, I don't know about you guys, but this is just, like, beyond stupid already. Like, is anyone, like, not noticing that? Like, you're going to pretty much forget that Sami Zayn even came to the ring. Like, I'm going to tell you something. When I watched this, I kind of forgot he already made his entrance because it was, like, so long. I was like, wait a minute. And then he comes and I'm like, oh, yeah, he made his entrance. So he starts putting down Texas. He says he never envisioned that, you know, that would happen this way. You know, he thought he would challenge in a better town for the world title. But he says, you know, he had a guardian angel in the name of Brock Lesnar. Brock comes out. Sami Zayn accidentally insults Lesnar. Lesnar ends up, you know, suplexing him, giving him 2 F5s. And then he leaves. And then we get a commercial break. After the commercial break, Roman Reigns comes out and does his full-length entrance. Then the match is about to begin, and then we get like a really awkward plug for Taco Bell, like flashing on the screen, and it's like right near like Sami Zayn getting off the canvas. Sami Zayn gets up, gets hit by a spear. Reigns puts him in the guillotine, and the match is over. He taps out, and that's it. That's right. They went to a commercial break to come back to have this little fast squash match that didn't even last 20 seconds. Holy fucking shit, that was just a bad way to end it. You killed all the drama there. You could have had like, maybe Brock in his corner, kind of messing with Reigns in a way, could have made it exciting. They kind of went for the predictable thing. I said that this would happen. Did I not say last week he was going to beat up Zayn and leave him laid out for Roman Reigns? I said that they were probably going to have the match the following week. I pretty much assumed that that's what it was when he won last week, and sure enough, I was pretty much right. And it went pretty much the way how I expected to, but I didn't expect them to have these many commercial breaks. And like that whole thing, they just killed that last segment by formatting it in such a ridiculous way. He should have just came out and beat Zayn right away. What was this going to a commercial, having us wait? Like, what a fucking disaster that was. I mean, pretty much this whole show from with the exception of the opening segment, was a disaster. The Charlotte Tony Storm thing, I mean, how do you make the same, stupid segment 2 weeks in a row? I don't know. Ask WWE Creative. All these matches, completely pointless. All these segments completely pointless, devoid of any sort of fun or entertainment at all. What was it? Jeff Hardy doing his little dance for a few seconds. I mean, Sheamus and Cesaro, decent match there, but like this whole thing, like you started off pretty hot in my eyes, and then you just said like, you know what, that's good enough. We're good enough for tonight, and that was basically it. Massive disappointment. I thought when I watched the show starting from the beginning, I was like, all right, Brock's coming out right away. And then I saw the backstage segment. I'm like, oh, we might get this thread throughout the show. This could be really funny with Sami Zayn, his little segments. And no, that's not what we got. It's not what we got at all. So what did you guys think down in the comments below? I'm pretty much done here. Let me know. Sound off down there. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so you don't know notifications when I post all my new videos. I want to thank all my patrons for your continued support. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you next time.